I want you to imagine something with me. You're standing in a room where the air feels thick, like something unseen is watching you. Your skin chills, not from cold, but from presence. And suddenly, deep inside, you feel it, the weight of something ancient, something dark. It doesn't speak in words, yet it knows everything about you. Your fears, your hidden shame, your unspoken rage. Whatever this is, it feeds on those shadows. And this is when most people freeze, pray, run, or worse, submit. But what if I told you that inside you right now, there are 7 omega-level energies that make spirits like that vanish instantly? Not because you fought them, but because they are incapable of existing in your presence. That's what this video is about, not spiritual warfare, but spiritual dominance. Not through force, through frequency. The truth is, demonic energy doesn't think like we do. It doesn't sit there plotting with red horns and pitchforks. It's more like a virus, mindless, opportunistic, and parasitic. It thrives only where there's a compatible host. And the host isn't your body, it's your vibration. You could have the cleanest house, the most expensive crystals, the most sacred chants, and still attract darkness if the frequency of your inner world matches it. That's why we're not here to talk about protection rituals. We're here to become the kind of being that doesn't need protection. Because when you embody omega-level presence, you don't enter a room and sense darkness. You enter a room and darkness senses you. And it backs off every single time. The first energy is radical presence. You'd be shocked how much of the world is terrified of true presence. Not just being in the moment, but consuming the moment. Most people live as echoes. They replay the past. They anticipate the future. They are never fully here. But when you are radically present, there is no timeline for fear to exist in. Demons feed on time. They need you to regret or anticipate or hesitate. But when you drop in fully like a stone into still water, everything that isn't real begins to tremble. Presence is not passive. It is the most violent thing to illusion, because illusion cannot survive contact with the now. So ask yourself, are you here? Like here? Or are you still stuck in mental echoes? Because if you can't be present with your own breath, how can you expect to command invisible realms? The second energy is unshakable self-love. And I don't mean bubble baths and affirmations. I mean the kind of love that says, I have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. Demonic forces don't just feed on fear, they feed on your self-rejection. Every part of you that you disown becomes available to them. Your shame, they wear it like armor. Your guilt, they weaponize it against you. That's why the most spiritually dangerous thing you can do is hate yourself quietly. Because that hatred becomes a portal. But when you love yourself so fiercely that even your shadows feel seen, even your wounds feel safe, there's nothing left for darkness to attach to. You become sealed, whole. You become quite literally untouchable. The third energy is sovereign silence. Not just being quiet, but being still inside. We live in a culture where noise is currency, constant motion, constant stimulus, and that's where entities hide in the overstimulation behind the static. But when your inner world becomes still, not because you're suppressing, but because you've transcended reaction, you become like a mountain in a thunderstorm. There could be chaos everywhere, but your core doesn't flinch. And that stillness, that silence, it emits a frequency that's unbearable to low vibrational beings because they need chaos to thrive. They need noise to enter. Silence is like oxygen deprivation to them. So I ask you, can you sit in silence without needing to fill it? Can you allow space without reaching for your phone, your thoughts, your addictions? Because that silence, if mastered, becomes a sword. The fourth energy is truth without compromise. This one is not glamorous. It's not sexy, but it's nuclear. Most people lie constantly, not just to others, but to themselves. Infine, I'm not angry. I don't care. These lies seem harmless, but they fracture your field. Every lie you tell is a crack in your energy. And guess what slips in through those cracks? Exactly, entities, attachments, energetic parasites. But when you become a being of absolute truth, even when it's ugly, even when it's embarrassing, you become solid. Demons can't enter where there's no fracture. They can't stay where there's no falsehood. So the question is, are you willing to tell the truth, no matter the cost? Can you look at yourself and say, here's where I'm still afraid. Here's where I'm still controlling. Here's where I'm still pretending. Because that level of truth doesn't repel demons, it vaporizes them. The fifth Omega energy is boundless compassion without weakness. This one is so misunderstood. People think compassion means being soft, being nice, being agreeable. No. Real compassion is a fire. It sees the wounds in others without absorbing their darkness. Most people either get consumed by others' pain or shut down completely. But when you can hold space for someone's suffering without dimming your own light, you become dangerous to darkness. Because now you're not just healed, you're healing. You're not just free, you free others. Demonic energy fears people who can love without losing themselves, because that's divine, that's godlike. And when divinity enters a space, shadows scatter. So ask yourself, where in your life are you confusing love with self-sacrifice? Where are you dimming your light for someone else's comfort? Because that's not compassion, that's compromise. And compromise is a playground for demons. The sixth Omega level force is sacred fire, or what I call the energy of enough. There comes a point when you stop negotiating with your lower nature, when you stop explaining your boundaries, when you stop tolerating energy that insults your soul. That moment when you say enough and mean it so deeply that your cells vibrate with it, that is sacred fire. It's not anger, it's not rage, it's clarity, and clarity burns. It purifies. Entities that have attached to you through trauma, addiction, or patterns cannot remain when you invoke sacred fire. They may try to grip tighter. They may try to scream. But fire doesn't argue with what it burns. You either step into your higher self or you watch your false self be incinerated. So I ask you, what in your life are you still tolerating that you know is killing your light? Because the longer you tolerate it, the more you invite darkness by default. And finally, the seventh energy, the most mysterious, the most paradoxical, is total surrender. Not surrender as weakness, surrender as power. When you surrender to Source, to the divine, to the mystery, you stop trying to control everything. And when you stop controlling, you stop creating the fear that demons feed on. Control is rooted in fear. Surrender is rooted in trust, and trust is a frequency that low entities cannot survive in. They need you to grasp, they need you to panic, they need you to defend. But when you surrender completely, you become like water. You can't be grabbed, you can't be tricked. You flow around darkness, you rise above it, you dissolve it. You want to be untouchable? Then stop trying to win. Start surrendering to something deeper than fear, something more ancient than the ego, something more real than the illusion of your separateness. That's what the Omega Path is. It's not about being powerful in the traditional sense. It's about becoming so aligned with truth, presence, love, silence, fire, and surrender that anything not of the same frequency automatically backs off. So let's go even deeper. If part 1 revealed how to build a force field of Omega level energy around your life, now we journey inward into the architecture of your being, into the hidden realms that exist beneath what you call you. Because here's the thing most people never realize. Your body is not just a body. Your mind is not just a mind. You are a multidimensional temple. And every thought you think, every emotion you suppress, every truth you avoid, reverberates through that temple like a bell. And those reverberations, they echo into unseen realms. This is why some people, no matter how positive they try to act, attract darkness. Because their temple is echoing with frequencies they're not even aware of. So the next level isn't just to create light around you, it's to become light, to embody it, to architect your inner realm so powerfully that you become a living portal of divine presence. Not occasionally, not during meditation, always. Let's be honest, most people have no clue what's happening inside themselves. They're like tourists walking through a sacred temple blindfolded, unaware that every movement, every word is activating something ancient within them. You have energy centers not just in your chakras, but in your memories, in your breath, in your grief, in your rage. Every unprocessed moment you've ever lived is either a locked door or an open gate. And entities, yes, the dark ones, don't just enter through trauma. They enter through the architecture of avoidance. They slip through the cracks you refuse to look at. That's why becoming a portal of light isn't just about love and light. It's about fierce, unapologetic inner excavation. You go into those rooms you've sealed off, the ones labeled too painful, too confusing, too much, and you open them. You don't clean them. You illuminate them. You shine so much presence into those places that nothing hidden can survive. Have you ever wondered why demons flee from certain people, not because they yell, not because they chant, but simply because they exist? It's because those people have become too whole to be devoured. The demonic doesn't fear your power, it fears your wholeness. It fears your integration, because fragmentation is food. So every time you reject a part of yourself, your lust, your vanity, your fear, your rage, you're leaving a piece of your soul unguarded. But when you say, I claim all of me, something shifts. You stop being a fractured field and you become a singular flame. That's why the path of light isn't about becoming good. It's about becoming complete. Every shadow you integrate becomes a guardian. Every wound you heal becomes a shield. Every truth you face becomes a blade. And soon you're not just defended against darkness, you're radiating a frequency that rewrites the very geometry of the space you walk into. Becoming the frequency that shadows feel. Let's talk about energy leaks. These are the unseen fractures in your temple that most people never notice. And they're deadly. Not because they kill the body, but because they drain the soul. You leak energy when you say yes to things that betray your inner knowing. You leak energy when you stay in relationships out of guilt. You leak energy when you lie to yourself about what you're here to do. And every time you leak, you weaken your field. Until one day you wonder why you feel so drained, so anxious, so not here. That's not burnout. That's spiritual anemia. And demons love it. Because when your field is weak, they don't need permission to enter. They just walk in. So you want to be a portal of light? Seal your leaks. That means radical boundaries. That means sacred selfishness. You stop negotiating your light for anyone's comfort. Because your light is not a favor. It's your essence. It's what you came here to protect. Now let's go deeper into the mechanics of light. Light isn't just visual. Light is information. Light is structure. Light is intelligence. When you become a portal of light, you are not just glowing, you are coding reality. You are emitting frequencies that reorganize everything in your field. People will either rise or flee when they get near you. Not because you said anything, but because your field is a mirror. It reflects everything they've been hiding from. And that's why this path can feel lonely at times. Because the more light you embody, the more uncomfortable you become to those still invested in illusion. But don't apologize. Don't explain. Your presence is the teaching. Your embodiment is the sermon. You don't need a platform. You are the platform. You walk into a room and the vibration shifts, not because you're trying, because you are. And now we arrive at the most mystical layer of all, what I call the inner throne. This is not a metaphor. This is a literal energetic seat within the temple of your being. Most people have abandoned theirs. They've left it unattended, allowing fear, shame, or external voices to sit there and rule their lives. But when you reclaim that throne, when you sit fully in the center of your being, not as an idea, but as presence itself, you become unshakable. From that seat, you don't react, you respond. You don't chase, you magnetize. You don't fight, you command. And demons? They don't step near a sovereign throne. Because sovereignty is the end of all possession. That's what possession is, when something else is sitting on your throne. So the question I ask you now is this: who is sitting at the center of your being? Is it you, or is it a story? A fear? A pain you inherited from someone else? Reclaim your seat, reclaim your name, reclaim your field. Because when you do, you don't just repel darkness, you transform it. And finally, understand this: the goal is not to avoid darkness. The goal is to become so luminous that darkness becomes irrelevant. You don't need to be protected when you are the protection. You don't need to be saved when you've remembered that you are the sanctuary. This is the highest form of spiritual power, not control, not domination, but resonance. You become the tuning fork of the divine. Everything that doesn't match that tone dissolves, not because you made it go away, because it no longer recognizes you as food. You've changed your frequency. You've walked through the realms within. You've faced what others run from. And now, you are the light you were praying for. You are the portal you were waiting to open. You are the presence that demons fear, not because you threaten them, but because in your presence they remember what they once were and weep. By now you may already feel it. Something in you is changing. Not because I gave you something new, but because I'm helping you remember something ancient. Something buried beneath layers of fear, shame, programming, and pain. You've always had the light, but now you're learning how to become it. And this final part, this final descent, is not about theory. It's about embodiment. We're going to go all the way into the core of what makes darkness fear you. Not because of your ego, not because of your intellect, but because when you enter a space, your very presence becomes unbearable to the unreal. You become the thing they dare not touch. Not because you fight them, but because you've become utterly untouchable. And to get there, we let go of everything. Everything, even the idea of self. Because the final Omega energy is not something you do, it's what remains when there's nothing left to defend. Let's begin where most end: identity. The most sophisticated demons don't attack your body. They don't even come for your mind. They come for your identity. Because if they can get you to believe you are a separate, fragile self, if they can convince you that you are a limited identity built on trauma, comparison, and fear, they own you. Not because they're stronger, but because you've handed them the keys. Why do you think all spiritual awakening leads to the death of the ego? Because ego is the mask they grip. Ego is the handle they pull. Ego is the doorway they walk through. But when you let go of identity, not just intellectually, but existentially, you become shape-shifting light. You become ungraspable, like fire, like wind, like silence. You are no longer a target. Because what can a demon attack when there is no one left to attack? This is why the final Omega energy is what I call energetic transparency. You become like clear water. There is nothing to grab, nothing to manipulate, nothing to tempt. You are so internally empty of falsehood that darkness can't even find a foothold. This is not about being perfect. This is about being transparent. You don't hide. You don't pretend. You don't perform. You simply are. And in that being, your frequency becomes unbearable to anything that relies on deception. Demons don't fear your light because it's bright. They fear it because it reveals. And the more you become a mirror, clean, precise, still, the more the false realities around you begin to collapse. People will either ascend with you or flee from you, but none will remain unchanged. That is the burden and the blessing of becoming a clear mirror. Everything you touch either transforms or runs. And you stay still, you watch, you witness, you are. But let's not romanticize this path. Becoming the thing they fear to touch is not a fantasy. It's a fire. It burns away everything you thought you were. It will strip you of your coping mechanisms, your illusions of control, your spiritual pride, because those too are entry points. You cannot fake this frequency. You cannot pretend to be complete. The unseen sees everything. So if you're still hiding behind love and light while secretly raging or resenting, they'll know, and they'll feed. But if you stand naked, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and say, "This is all of me," you become invincible. Not because you're flawless, but because you're whole. You've stopped leaking energy into the performance of enlightenment. And now you're radiating the truth of your being, raw, real, radiant. And in that radiance, every false thing burns. And this is the paradox. The more powerful you become, the less you feel the need to be powerful. Because now your power isn't a tool, it's a presence. You're not trying to make darkness back off, it just does. You're not trying to protect your aura. It's naturally impenetrable. You're not trying to cast anything out. There's simply no space for it to enter. This is what I call the frequency of inevitability. When you reach this level of inner congruence, your energy speaks for you. You walk into a room and the unseen registers it before you say a word. Not because you're special, but because you're true. And truth is the ultimate exorcism, not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that makes falsehood evaporate without conflict. You don't push darkness away. You simply shine in a way that makes it incompatible. So ask yourself this: what parts of me are still negotiable? Because that's where they'll come in. Wherever you are still unsure, still performing, still looking for permission to be fully you, that's where the attachments form. The final Omega energy is not about building more, it's about removing everything that isn't yours. Every opinion you inherited, every fear you absorbed, every lie you've been living. You strip it all away like old armor until you stand there bare but blazing. That's when you become the thing they fear to touch, because you are no longer a person. You are a frequency. You are no longer playing the game of polarity. You are the field in which the game is played. And in that field, darkness has no place to hide. And now, the final truth. You are not here to fight demons. You are here to outgrow them. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be sovereign. You are not here to survive the darkness. You are here to illuminate it. And that begins now. Not after you heal more, not after you learn more, but now, in this breath, in this body, with everything you are and everything you are not. Because the Omega path is not a path of becoming, it is the path of unbecoming everything that was never truly you. And when that happens, there's nothing left to protect, nothing left to fear, nothing left to fight. Only light, only truth, only presence living in a human body. That is your final form, so step into it, not with force, with knowing, with clarity, with presence. Because the war is not out there, it never was. The war was always in the mirror, and now the mirror is clean. And the one looking back is the one they fear to touch. You've come this far. You've listened not just with your ears, but with the silence behind your thoughts. That silence is sacred. In that silence, something ancient has stirred. Maybe you can't name it yet. Maybe it hasn't fully risen, but it's there. A presence, a remembering, a knowing beyond thought. That is the real you, not the role, not the personality, not even the seeker, but the watcher behind the seeker. And now, in this final descent, we speak not as student and teacher, not even as human to human, but as presence to presence. We're going to bring everything together, not by summarizing, but by activating. You'll feel it. Not like inspiration, but like a tectonic shift. These words are not to be agreed with. They are to be entered. Because now you are not just hearing about Omega energies. You are becoming the embodiment of them. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. You become the final gate, the one that nothing dark can pass through. To be the final gate means something few are ready for. It means you stop outsourcing your divinity. You stop projecting your power onto gurus, spirits, angels, even gods. You can still honor them. You can still commune, but you no longer need them as intermediaries. Because you've remembered that you are the altar. You are the throne. You are the temple where Source lives, breathes, and speaks. That is not ego. That is alignment. The greatest spiritual beings do not teach you to follow them. They teach you to follow your own sovereign connection. And when you embody that, demons, literal or metaphorical, lose all leverage. Because their power comes from your disempowerment. When you stop giving them that energy, they lose form. They collapse, not with drama, with irrelevance. They starve in the presence of your sovereignty, because sovereignty is oxygen only to the divine. Everything else chokes on it. 7 Omega level energies that make demons back off immediately. But this sovereignty is not found in domination. It's found in radical responsibility. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what part of me allowed this frequency into my field? That question is everything, because it dissolves victimhood. It doesn't blame, it liberates. Imagine walking through life not as someone avoiding darkness, but as someone who knows that everything that arises is an opportunity to reclaim fragmented light. That's what demons really are, fragments. Lost pieces of collective or personal consciousness that have forgotten their source. And yes, some are malicious. Some are ancient. Some carry a deep, cunning intelligence. But even those cannot enter without your unconscious permission. So the more conscious you become, the fewer doors remain. Until one day, there are no more entry points. Only light, only clarity, only presence. And from that place, you don't defend, you radiate. You don't pray for safety, you are safety. So here's the deepest transmission. The light doesn't protect you. The light is you. And once you embody that, you stop treating spiritual power like a tool and start living as it. You don't invoke power. You are power. But not the kind born of dominance. The kind born of emptiness. The kind born of stillness. The kind born of the absolute disappearance of the false self. That's what makes demons back off. Not your rituals. Not your affirmations, your disappearance, your transparency, your refusal to play the game of fear. You become invisible to them, not because you're hiding, but because you've dissolved everything they used to grab onto. And what's left? A field so clean, so sovereign, so luminous that everything around you is either elevated or expelled. That's not metaphor. That's energetic law. Let's talk about the final illusion, separation. Every demon, every shadow, every attack comes from the illusion that you are separate, from source, from others, from your own being. And when you believe in separation, you become vulnerable, not because you're weak, but because you've forgotten your wholeness. But when you dissolve that illusion, when you see that all things are arising within you, and that you are arising within the all, there is no outside, there is no invader, there is only resonance and non-resonance. What doesn't match your field simply cannot stay. This is not about control, it's about coherence. When your being becomes fully coherent, mind, body, emotions, energy aligned in truth, Everything false falls away, and you don't have to do anything. You simply are. A field, a flame, a presence. That's the final gate. It doesn't resist. It doesn't fight. It simply stands. And in that standing, the entire universe reconfigures around it. So now I ask you, are you ready to stop managing darkness and start dissolving it through your very frequency? Are you ready to stop asking for protection and start embodying the one who needs none? Are you ready to stop seeking and become the sought? Because the moment you say yes, not with your mind, but with the totality of your being, the shift begins. Not outside. Inside, your breath becomes a portal. Your gaze becomes a transmission. Your silence becomes a sermon. And your life becomes a lighthouse. Not because you chose to be special, but because you finally stopped pretending to be small. And in that moment, the real work begins. The work of integration. The work of walking as light in a world addicted to shadows. The work of staying awake when so many are still dreaming. But you will not be alone, because every step you take in truth, the universe walks with you. And so now, this is where we end. Not with a conclusion, with a beginning. You've heard the invocation. You've walked through the flames. You've stood at the gate and felt what it means to be truly sovereign. And now, you go back into the world, not as the one who seeks light, but as the one who is light. Make no mistake, your presence will disturb many, not because you're dangerous, but because you are a mirror, and the world is not yet ready to see itself clearly. But you will walk anyway. You will shine anyway. You will love anyway, because that's what Omega-level beings do. They don't fight shadows, they illuminate them. And in that illumination, everything false burns away, not with violence, with grace, with stillness, with truth. But even now, as this journey nears its cyclical end, I must tell you something most will never hear in a lifetime. You were never in danger. Not truly, not spiritually. The fear that once lived in your bones, the anxiety that haunted the edges of your awareness, the sense that something dark was always watching, it was never the threat. The real threat was your own forgetting. The forgetting of what you are. The forgetting of the indestructible, timeless, infinite you. The fear was the echo of your own light distorted through the lens of separation. And the so-called demons? They were only ever reflections, some from your own psyche, others from the collective unconscious, some ancient, yes, but none greater than the truth of your being. When you remember yourself fully, the illusion ends. The shadows vanish, not because they were conquered, but because you stopped projecting them. You stopped feeding them with your fear, your guilt, your self-denial. You remembered, and the remembering was the exorcism. Now the real initiation begins, not in the silence of meditation, nor in the drama of battle, but in the stillness of choice. The everyday, moment-to-moment choice to remain in alignment, to be integrity, to walk as light even when no one sees it, to burn with clarity even when others misunderstand you, to radiate truth even when the world offers you every reason to lie. There is no audience for this kind of power, no applause, no reward, just the quiet revolution of your own frequency, rising like a sun that doesn't ask for permission to shine. You are not here to convince the dark to become light. You are here to shine so completely that others remember they were never dark to begin with. The world doesn't need more warriors. It needs more lighthouses. Silent, immovable, consistent beacons that remind everything lost at sea that home still exists, that love still speaks, that truth still lives. Understand this deeply. Your aura is now a gatekeeper. Your presence, when fully embodied, becomes an energetic boundary that filters reality. People will leave your life. Some will fear you. Others will be magnetized. The energy that once drained you will now be blocked effortlessly. Not because you're fighting it, but because your field no longer permits it. You've become a living firewall of divine frequency. And everything that approaches you will be forced to evolve or exit. This is not cruelty. This is coherence. This is what happens when you stop betraying yourself. You become a tuning fork, and everything around you must either attune or fall out of resonance. That is real spiritual authority. Not domination, not manipulation, but resonance so true, so clean, so rooted in source that even the deepest shadows recognize it and choose either to transform or to flee. So now the question is no longer, how do I protect myself from darkness? But this, what will I create from this light? Now that you are whole, now that you are sovereign, now that you are free, what will you build? What will you speak into the world? What will you embody in your silence, radiate in your walk, offer in your gaze? Because this is not the end of your journey, it's the activation of your true mission. You are no longer here to escape darkness. You are here to illuminate creation. You are the bridge between planes, the nexus point where human form meets divine function. You now are the walking temple. So walk boldly, walk wisely, walk as if the stars remember you, because they do. And now, so do you.